walkers, crawlers, blood, guts, and all that is zombie. It's time for Tony and Josh to recap this week's AMC's The Walking Dead.
Oh my God, it has been woefully too long since we have played that intro for a bonus segment, Josh.
We're back. Oh, man. Yeah, I have been looking forward to this for way too long. As you said, it's been many, many weeks since we have done this. And I tell you what, AMC really came out the box with a bang. I was worried about the season opener. With all the ups and downs that we've had over season 4 and especially season 5. And I was overall a little disappointed with season 5. I had my hopes up for season 6. And I don't know about you, Tony, but I think AMC did it right with the way that they brought in the season 6 premiere.
Well, you know, they did that back and forth thing, which I don't remember them doing before.
I think they did that back in like season 3, season 4. I can't remember exactly with what it was that they were doing it with. I think it was back when they were not Alexandria. What was the other, the train station, Terminus?
Yes.
I think they did that back in that season, but I could be mistaken.
But the thing that I thought was really interesting is that the back and forth went from color or black and white to color, black and white to color, black and white into color. Because obviously the black and white meant that was before color television was available or color movies were available.
They haven't aged a bit.
So apparently that was back in the late 40s, early 50s. So, but I know I get it because when people look at black and white photos, they think of back in time. So, and that's what they were doing. They were going back in time and bringing us up to speed. But I'll be honest with you. When they started with that black and white stuff, I didn't know if they were going into a bit of, when they started with them in the pit, I'm thinking, what the hell? Morgan just showed up, just watched Rick shoot somebody in the head, face, or something, maybe lower, I don't know.
Yeah.
and I wanted to see what Morgan's reaction was going to be. And here we are, 6 months later again? I mean, they did this, what was it, last season, whenever they started 6 months afterwards. So there was this whole big, great period of time where there was the ability to finish things up or answer some questions or so on and so forth, and they didn't do it.
Definitely some room for confusion where it's like, okay, what is this quarry? What where are we? How much time has passed? What happened to Alexandria?
And that's fine if they explain it. I mean, it is fine if they explain it.
But they never do.
That's the problem.
That's the problem that I have had with the writers with The Walking Dead. Maybe it's not the writers more so than the director, the producer, whoever finally does the final edit.
It's one of those damn bastards that is not doing their job.
Yeah, it figures out, okay, we're going to do it like this.
Yeah.
And it leaves a lot up to interpretation or imagination or to fill in the blanks or to make assumptions or whatever. But I think honestly what they're doing, Tony, is just like, okay, you guys don't know what's going on. You'll kind of figure most of it out by the time the episode ends. But, if you really want to know the whole story, you have to participate in all this other media that we make available to you.
Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what they're doing because I don't do that.
I don't either. I get too distracted trying to do the follow along, the live stream that they do with the episodes. I tried that once and my attention was way too split.
Well, you know what that is? That's a watch our commercials, please, because we need them, and we're going to try to do this to get you guys to be here during the commercials, so that you have to sit through it. It doesn't matter if you're not paying attention to them. We just need you here, for those advertisers, those numbers for the advertisers. Now, I'm going to tell you. I want to tell you a secret, Josh, and I suspect you're the same way.
Yeah.
I think that the stories that they're trying to write are like books with just words, novels with just words. Whereas I am
have words, yeah.
Where I am a book person with lots of pictures. So I think that's the problem. I think that's the disconnect. It's the this part of the audience type. I need more pictures. So it's just They need to dumb it down is what I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. I mean, but there is a lot of content that I think that they're trying to shoehorn into a limited amount of season that they have.
Yeah, and what's the deal with that? 16 episodes last season.
Well, I mean, typically a season is somewhere around the mid-teens,
It didn't
13
used to
to
be, damn
16
it.
episodes. But yeah, I mean, we could have used a few more than that.
20. I think 22 is the bare minimum. I think Congress should pass a law instead of trying to do all this crap with anti-gun stuff, because crime's going down the more guns get in people's hands, which obviously is going to help during the zombie apocalypse, by the way. So quit doing all that legislation. Legislate something important, like keeping commercial volumes to the same level or lower than the show.
Yeah.
And then also, too, mandate that The Walking Dead must have 24 episodes a season. Take the funding that they were giving to Planned Parenthood and give it to The Walking Dead.
Well, let's get into this episode. Season 6, episode 1.
Yep. What is it? First time again.
Yeah, first time again, and it feels just like the first time now. And this is a very, very interesting show. I think that they came out of the box really well with the way that they did this show. There was a lot of mental to the show. You had to think, you had to put some mind into it. There was a lot of sort of we're not going to tell you exactly. Just take a look at the scene, and you guys can kind of figure out what's going on with this character. And there was a lot of very particular moments with several of the characters that happened in the very first, even 10 minutes of the show. Mm-hmm. I mean, now we get a little bit of a recap, as they typically do. And then that's
the whole split. That's all the whole split thing back and forth is. There's a recap for the whole show.
Before that, the first 30 seconds of this program, we get a flashback of the last, what's happened thus far, at least in the last season or so.
Oh, well, they're just bringing you up to date,
and then we're immediately thrown into this view of this giant rock quarry with tens of thousands of zombies in it. Now,
that was really strange, wasn't it? It was like a big convention. It was almost like...
Well, the last time that we saw anything quite like that was when they crested the hill in the fire truck.
Yeah.
And they saw that field of zombies there, and which was, I think, probably a bigger herd than what we saw in this rock quarry. But nonetheless... here we are faced with thousands upon thousands of zombies, and the only thing standing between them and the rest of civilization as we know it are a handful of semi-trailers. And one of them is precariously on the edge of this cliff in this quarry. And lo and behold, guess what happens as they're trying to formulate a plan of what they're going to do, that trailer comes crashing down to the quarry, that truck as well. And now it's go time. And here as we kind of see how the hierarchy of things have developed in Alexandria. We have our first little contention of authority here between Rick and what's his face,
Carter.
The new guy, as it were, the one guy. We're going to call him the red shirt because he dies early and often. So
I just want to mention this to the audience. If you didn't recognize Carter, he was Rusty in the Vegas Vacation movie. I like Carter. I like that guy that plays Carter, and I was really surprised to see him in a recent car commercial with Christy Brinkley. He's driving the car, and he's playing like the Chevy Chase character that when the blonde in the red convertible Ferrari pulls up alongside, and then she goes, "Really? A girl in a Ferrari?" Something like that. And he's like, I didn't know. I don't know. That was Rusty. That was Rusty. Anyway, I like that character. I haven't seen him in a lot of things. I like the guy that plays those characters. And he's a kind of a fun guy. If you recall in Vegas Vacation, he won all those cars and he was underage. So he had to have his Papa Giorgio fake ID or something. Anyway, I was happy to see him join the cast. Oh, and before I go down the story too much, what's the deal with these people showing up out of nowhere? Because the writers didn't count how many people were in the show. They've killed so many of them off. They're bringing another 3 or 4 people in the show, and the rationale is, we were out foraging.
We're out of people to kill. No. Well, no, I mean that's yes and no.
That was Heath. Heath was one of those.
you got to understand. I mean, there are townsfolk. There are people out there that are searching for other people to bring back. I mean, this is a societal growth period.
It was awkward.
That and you got to take into consideration, Tony, that we need people to kill.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There was
food.
More fodder for the cannon. They weren't thinking ahead, and you have a lot of people showing up in this town that you never saw before, and it's always possible that there's members in the town that are living there that you haven't seen. But I kind of got the whole feel that there wasn't very many people there. I think I may have mentioned that in a prior bonus segment too, because it seems there wasn't very many people in Alexandria. But people keep popping up. It just doesn't, we need a big head count. We need to know how many people there are at the beginning of the season. And then we can tell if they're cheating by bringing more people in or they've signed some new contracts.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I think that over the last couple seasons, they killed off several very important characters, long running characters that were, I'm not going to say critical to the storyline, but they were main characters, and they killed them off. And here, even on this show, there was an outrage about some of those deaths, and maybe that they got enough people moaning, bitching, and complaining about it. Then they're like, well, maybe we should not be killing off so many important people so often. So let's just go ahead and introduce these no names, and we can kill them off at will, and it won't be that big of a deal.
Well, I like Morgan, and I especially like whenever he's entering the fence, and Eugene says, like, I dig what you're doing with your hair, man. I'm the same way. I forget how you put it, but he likes the hair. And Heath was like, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
But he seems like he's going to be a pretty good character. But I wish they had kept Who Hates Chris. I thought he was a good character.
Noah. Yeah, he would have been a good one to hold on to. I thought he was a good fit for the show.
I thought he was going to be there a while
for the crew. And it was sad to see him go. But what that did is his death gave us animosity against some other characters, which we will get some relief if and when they die.
Yeah, Nicholas.
So that'll be a good thing.
Which y'all mentioned, Nicholas's new role is to be Glenn's pet. Do whatever I say, and I will do, because you got some
about being somebody's bitch.
You got some crap on me, man, and I don't want to. And Glenn, I had to rewind it a couple of times. Maggie was telling Tara about what happened between Glenn and Nicholas, and if you guys don't recall, Nicholas decided he was going to kill Glenn, but he's too much of a wuss or a good shot to be able to handle it, and Glenn got the better of him. Was going to kill him. Yeah, was going to kill him, and then decided not to because it's the zombie apocalypse. You don't kill people that aren't zombies.
Well, here's an interesting tidbit of information for you guys. I believe out of all of our characters thus far who are still alive in The Walking Dead, Glenn is the only one who hasn't killed a human.
I think you may be right. Even during the attack with the governor's crew, you don't think he killed anybody? Was he there?
I'm not 100% sure.
No, but I thought I would just throw that in there, and you might remember something.
Well, here's the thing is that, remember, this is one of Rick's 3 questions that he asks anybody who gets brought into the fold, so to speak, is how many zombies have you killed, and how many people have you killed? And I forgot what the third one was, dang it. But anyways.
Well, the fourth one is, do you know how to make zombie bacon?
Extra crispy for me, please.
Well, it has to be.
So, I'm pretty sure that was one of the reasons why Glenn kind of got to tag along, is because at that point in time, he hadn't killed anybody. He was just a pizza delivery boy, So, and that in fact was one of his lines in this movie, in this episode, like something like, it's not supposed to be, this is supposed to just be a dry run. Because the zombies broke out of the pit early. They're on a kind of a dry run, going through this course that they're going to be leading the zombies away from Alexandria by, and it's like, oh, this is just supposed to be a dry run, and Glenn is like, I'm supposed to be delivering pizzas.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be bitching about gas prices.
Like, no S, Sherlock. Come on, this is the zombie apocalypse. Of course,
and you stiffed me without a tip type thing. I mean, good Lord, can you imagine the type things that we have to worry about as a first world country?
So this episode has several, in the first several moments, a lot of images that kind of catch us up to speed and paint a picture of some characters. Like the the one with who's the gal who's the head of Alexandria?
Deanna?
Say her name again.
Deanna?
Deanna, yes. We see her kind of her husband just got killed. I get it. There's a pool of his blood there. I get it.
She's keeping a
like
vial of
sulking by the fire next to this gigantic pool of blood, and her hands are covered in it. It's almost like she's playing in it.
She lost her son, with the when Tara got hurt last. What was it? Couple of episodes back, I believe. So she recently lost her son, and now she lost her husband, and graphically lost her husband, standing there in front of her. I mean, can you imagine? All she had to do was just reach out and grab him and pull him back a 2 inches, and he'd be alive.
Yep.
So you have to think about all the what ifs she could be doing, and also too, as the leader, the quote unquote leader of Alexandria, what decisions did she make that led up to this? I mean, it was pretty clear that Rick wanted to kill that asshole long before this moment.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and she definitely gave him the green light to do so, which she should have. Definitely.
Well, it wasn't the great point in time to make that decision, I don't think.
No, a little late to the party, if you ask me.
Well, no, I'm just saying,
okay.
once you see a loved one killed, you probably need to sit back for at least 24 hours and consider the decision, because you may be reactionary at that point. Like, do it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
do it.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll do it. No.
I mean, that's like taking law into your own hands. I mean, they're trying to have a civilization there, and her making that quick judgment call after seeing a loved one killed it's not appropriate. It shouldn't have happened. And that's where Morgan steps up, and he sees all this. This is his new entry to Rick,
re-entry back into the herd,
Rickville,
so to speak.
Yeah.
And the last time that we saw Morgan, we've been seeing glimpses of him sort of tracking this group, and he's kind of following their trail. But before that, we saw him as a crazy, deranged guy held up in the second story of a building in a small town.
Did you see that little sliver of crazy come back, though, in the show? I thought it was great. It really made me laugh.
Which part?
Where he asked if Michonne had taken that his peanut bar.
Oh, jeez, I can't believe
you don't remember that?
No, I missed that.
They're all sitting there
for a drink or something.
It's Rick, Michonne, and Morgan. And they're sitting on something. I think they're waiting for the zombies to calm the herd or whatever. And he goes, Michonne, did you take my last peanut butter survival bar? And she kind of gets a smirk, and she says, that look. And she goes, no, I didn't take your peanut butter bar. He goes, I could have sworn there was one more left. And that little bit of crazy, which was great. It was a salute. It was like, wait a minute. The last time we saw him, he was just freaking nuts.
That's cool that we get to see. It's like,
it's still there.
He is still that same guy that you remember. So, that's cool. I'm sorry I missed it. I'm going to go back.
Yeah, you have to watch that. It's hilarious.
But it's cool. We also see Rosita tending to Tara, who is just kind of coming out of her coma. She was kind of got concussed or something from that grenade explosion.
Concussed out, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then right about that same time is when Glenn and Nicholas stagger in, and they're all bloody and from their
we had a hell of a
altercation,
but not with each other.
Here's where my respect for Glenn goes up another notch, is that he doesn't rat out Nicholas.
Yeah.
Now I understand this could be an ace in the hole play, trying to keep this in reserve just in case he has to pull that card.
Well, this man's a danger. It would have been much better for him to either kill him out in the wilderness and lie, or when he comes back, he rats him out. I mean, the safest thing to do would be those two things. So I can't believe that, just because, if Maggie's not willing to do the oral sex, he can always turn to Nicholas. That is a reason for him to do it. You know what I'm saying? I think Glenn's just a good guy.
No, he definitely is, and we also see Carl sitting next to Enid. Coral, sitting next to Enid. Now she's the girl who we see climbing up and over the fence a couple times last season, and she's about his age and kind of in that teenage kids group, and she's kind of a little bit of a black sheep, as it were, but. We see a little bit we saw some interaction with them just slightly, and when they were hiding in the tree. that one time, and here on the dock, Ron is secretly watching, which I thought was super creepy. But she and Carl end up kind of holding hands on the dock, and so we have a little bit of a possible love triangle that we're gonna have to deal with. Oh joy!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see where they go with that. I think they could have lost Coral way back whenever he got shot with by the guy hunting deer, and it would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah, perfectly fine. Would have fit. Yep, I agree with you.
I did enjoy the gallon of chocolate pudding that he ate. That was a good scene.
That was good.
Yeah,
and I think that's a meme that has followed him around for a while.
But
now this is something that I think is going to follow at least this episode. Certainly, it might carry on as a future theme. Rick is telling Morgan that he no longer takes chances, sort of implying that they're going to be taking some sort of precautionary measures with Morgan at the very least, because, well, we don't know what he's been up to exactly. And I think there's some reading between the lines here that kind of has to happen with that. I don't know exactly what that means or where this is going to go. I have a suspicion that, and I'm going to call this now, but Rick and Morgan used to be friends. I think they used to be coworkers or whatever. But I believe that is a friendship that is going to dissolve, and there's going to be a point of contention there. I'm calling that now. I'm on the fence with that. My gut is saying that this could happen. Not saying that it will, but I think that it could, and it just might.
I don't think if I understood you right, I don't think Rick and Morgan were ever coworkers, but Morgan was the first person.
They were both cops. I thought they were both cops.
No. So Morgan was the guy that Rick first met whenever he left the hospital, and he's wandering down the street in his drafty nightie and gets hit in the face by a shovel. Morgan was on the other end of that shovel. And then Morgan took him in, so to speak, him and his son. So it was like episode 1, I believe, the actual beginning of the whole thing. So, Morgan, although he hasn't been in the show that much, he's been in it from the beginning. He's one of the very few that has been there from day 1 of the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, well, he was absentee for a few seasons.
Yes. Yep. I wonder how long he's going to be in here.
That's another thing that I see. That's where he's kind of a bit of a nomad, and so I'm thinking that there's going to be this, Morgan is going to confront Rick. He's not going to challenge him for authority, but just be like, hey,
express his love.
I don't want to be a part of this anymore. So long, goodbye. And Morgan's going to wander off into the great wide beyond.
So I find it interesting. It almost seems we saw this very much in last season that Rick, who is this guy? I mean, he's really going over the edge, especially when he went on that I don't want to say rant when he was waving the pistol at everybody because he had a gun in Alexandria when nobody was supposed to, and was telling waving those guns at all the people that weren't zombies. And I'm thinking to myself, Rick has lost his way. So it almost seems like that Morgan has come back to bring, and it's interesting. Tammy, one of our past fill-ins, had mentioned the Bible tie-in with the storyline on The Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
A man with a staff, Morgan's stick that he uses to fight with, a man with a staff returns and helps get Rick back on his path, the path to righteousness, the path to salvation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Has it been forewritten?
Or written before.
We shall see.
But anyway, we go off on these tangents. One of the reasons why we love talking about this thing so much. So the whole idea here is that they're bringing us up to speed about what has happened after Morgan has come up and saw, and I forget the doctor's name, the wife beater that Rick killed in season 5, episode 16, and they're going back and forth between these black and white segments, which was the what happened after that, and then the color segments, which is modern day. Which the whole idea there is, and I think you've already touched base on this a couple of times, is there's this huge herd, easily thousands of zombies that are in this quarry that have been trapped there. It almost seems like
it's very nearby to Alexandria,
right? And Rick surmises that it is this quarry, this dugout area, is the reason why Alexandria hasn't had their fences tested, why they haven't had so many problems with zombies. I guess with the zombies making noise, it kind of pulls more and more in. So, and they've looked, Rick has seen this precarious situation with the blockade of 18-wheelers and one 18-wheeler that's close to the edge that may fall over any day. And thankfully just happens to fall over at the right time while they're doing a dry run, because the idea is, at least this is what I've gotten from it so far. I don't know what the end game here plan was. I'm a little afraid that I've gotten it, and it just, the whole idea sucks. The idea is to herd all of these zombies out of the pit and get them on their way down the road. I think that's the whole end game. Let's get them marching this way and get them out of town and keep Alexandria safe. I thought they were going to be leading them someplace better to make sure that they didn't get out of something, or to, immobilize all of them. But I don't think that's what it was.
Yeah, they kind of go over a 3,000-foot flyby as far as how this plan is going to work out, and there's a couple of interstates, a couple little highways or whatever that Alexandria is kind of right in the middle of, and they're gonna take this herd of zombies down where the road sort of forks out, and move them along down the highway off out to another area. And the plan is basically to get them out and on their way to where, if anything distracts them or sidetracks them, that they'll be well on their way enough for it to be of any concern to Alexandria. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a lot of back and forth, and this plan is all gotta work, and we see a lot of how this plan is formulated, and what is leading up to it, and how they're going to react, how they're going to act it out, and all that other stuff. And it's very interesting, because a lot of this is hinging on a couple of things working absolutely perfectly. Mm-hmm. And one of those is teamwork with the guy who worked with Reg to build the walls around Alexandria to begin with, because they're going to have to set up a few more walls for this thing to work right.
That was really interesting how they handled that. I mean, you could see that Carter built the same type of walls that were built around Alexandria.
Yeah, we saw that as the herd is engaging these deflective barriers. Mm-hmm.
I'll put it. Bumper pull table bumpers was a reference I think was made.
There you go. And yeah, you're right. It does have the same kind of construction. I don't think it's quite to the scale of which Alexandria had, but nonetheless, it's definitely interesting how it's almost reminiscent of fluid dynamics.
Yes.
Is how they're treating this herd of zombies, and
it was really cool how they had the zombies bouncing off the barrier. I mean, they were hitting that thing hard. And then, I mean, zombies were actually losing, brain matter smacking up against some of these walls.
This unstoppable force of, zombies pushing against zombies. And it's that force of this mass pushing into these walls. It kind of, they paint this picture like there's just so much force up against, and these zombies are just kind of churning up against the wall that eventually they just pop.
Well, don't we all?
Yeah, and it's very interesting.
That's a good time for a zombie, by the way. So everything's going perfectly fine. Strangely enough, it seems. And then Carter, who they flash back to a scene where Carter and crew are building those walls, and some zombies happen up, and actually Rick makes the comment, "No, let them." Handle it.
Yeah, let them handle it.
And Carter's going.
His crew instantly. I mean, just
they're ready to go. Yeah, and Carter
ready to go.
Carter's like, help me, and that's the problem with the folks in Alexandria. They don't know how to take care of themselves, and that's the problem that Rick has with them. They have to know how to take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's the point that Rick has been trying to make this entire time. Like,
since season 5,
people are not prepared when this comes, and he said that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and we saw that it happened sooner than later. That you people are not going to be ready for this.
Will not survive. You're dead men walking.
And that was very evident when we see the during the construction of these barriers to divert the zombie horde. That no, they weren't. They panicked. They froze, and some of them sat down on the ground. And it's like, really?
I'm just a zombie buffet. So Morgan steps in and giving Rick the evil eye in the process.
Like, I got to take care of this, because Morgan has kind of made this, not in not so many words, this vow to not kill anymore. He doesn't want to kill anymore. He wants to be a changed man, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And so Rick kind of forces him back into, you got to have to deal with some of these zombies now, bud. You can't just skirt amongst the trees and avoid things. You kind of have to take matters into your own hands.
Yeah, and Morgan steps in, and then the rest of Rick's crew steps in, and the Carter and the newbies don't have to sully their hands with any zombie mucus or blood. And Morgan makes the comment, I thought you don't take chances, referring directing to Rick, which this certainly was a chance.
It was, and that's why I'm saying I don't think Rick's going to live that down for a little while, but yeah. But then we get this. We're back to Alexandria. There's some dry run going on. There's some contention at the gate of whether or not these people who we haven't seen before are actually,
Eugene,
part of Alexandria.
Eugene is on gate duty. How good an idea is that?
Yeah, and this episode bounced around so very much. It's kind of hard to keep a straight line with this storyline, because we went back and forth and back and forth.
It's just hard for us in general, because we get off on tangents.
Now, one thing I did like is that Morgan kind of talks a little bit about is it the W's, or no? Who is it? We're seeing letters carved into people's heads and
zombies. Yeah. I know Daryl had talked about it because he saw it out on a run, but I forget who made the reference in this episode.
Morgan tells Rick about the W.
Oh yeah,
man.
That's right.
And that, something could be coming. You may want to beef up security a little bit, but that was it. I mean, it was just sort of a mention, and then it was gone. So I think that is definitely going to be a story point that we're going to see develop here very soon.
Yeah, the W guys are coming. And it's obviously, and I've made this joke before, it's obviously a reference to George W. Bush.
Yeah, so we find out there's a little sneak peek that there was a clone bank of George Bushes. And so now there's a herd of zombie George Bushes. I'm kidding.
And you know which ones they are, of course. They're going,
yeah. Like a herd of Beavis and Buttheads.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so let's see. Should we go ahead and go to the horn?
Oh man, now let's not now, because that's how it ends.
Yeah,
and I guess we could, because we're about the half-hour mark, and really there's not a whole lot else that happens in the show.
Well, that's why I was mentioning. If you had something else that you want to talk about, I just didn't want to jump onto the horn.
And that's pretty. Those are all the big points. The zombie herd gets out of the quarry. They do have their plan in place and acting. The one thing that I didn't mention that drove me bonkers.
Here we go.
Through the whole show is this is supposed to be more or less in modern day.
Mm-hmm.
And we're clearly in an area where there's not a lot of rainfall. Yes, we did see in a few episodes back how they were held up in that barn through that storm
tornado
or whatever
or something. Yeah,
sure. But typically it is very sunny and very hot, pretty much through the last 3 or 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so with all this heat and all this dryness, here they are walking around shooting flare guns like they're going out of style.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off to no end, because there ain't any fire trucks around, people. Not anymore anyways. You start a forest fire, what's going to happen? And they are just, like one after the other, almost as fast as they can reload and shoot them off again. And I get it. I understand why they're doing it, for a visual and an audible
directional thing for the zombies.
Yeah, to attract the zombies away, and this, and it's okay. I get it, but some pots and pans and some sticks and stuff could work pretty good too. I don't know.
Well, it was interesting. I saw Daryl working on his, and he had a big scene in this episode, didn't he? I saw him working on his exhaust system. So he was actually making the exhaust system louder on the motorcycle, which makes sense. But I have to take you to task a little bit, Josh. I mean, you're implying that what they were doing is unsafe and that there was going to be potential fires because of this. There's a whole fire crew, part of the staff of The Walking Dead, that are making sure there are no fires happening. So you just don't see the people behind the scenes that are there to make sure that none of those fires happen.
Oh no, I'm sure that they had a 50-yard radius of extras and people with fire extinguishers and stuff at the ready. No, but I'm talking about the universe of The Walking Dead. Pretending that this is actually happening. Yeah, I'm sure that starting a forest fire is probably one of the least concerns. Second to staying alive.
There's not a lot of people there, and you're going to mobilize. You may not kill, but you're going to mobilize a lot of zombies. So I personally think starting a forest fire is not a bad idea if you just go far enough away from where you live.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Is they're kind of right next door.
They are right around the corner.
As they get the zombies sort of around the bend, and this was the critical point of where if this fails, then we're doomed. And that was where they had set up the bumpers to kind of bump the zombies around the corner and
nice
get them
90-degree curve there.
Get them on that home stretch, heading out to points beyond
to the next town that doesn't have as many guns or protection. Let them go eat the people next door.
It's a great preemptive strategic attack on the next town over.
Yes, exactly.
No, but here in this sort of home stretch, it's like, okay, all we have to do is just get this last little bit of zombies down around the corner and off on the way, and Carter. This guy, he's absolutely worthless. For some reason they got him on point. I don't even know.
But there was a reason for him to be on the point.
Well, yeah, we find that out because he ends up not really paying attention. He's more focused on the horde of zombies that are on the road.
Well,
he's a few steps off the road. I think that's
reasonable.
Kind of in the tree line.
I think that's reasonable to be focusing on the 10,000 zombies in front of you.
I would be. I mean, come on. Whatever happened to situational awareness? Seriously.
Well, that's the point. That's Rick's point. These people are not prepared. They don't know how to keep their head on a swivel, listen for things. They haven't learned, and that's what got Carter killed.
So despite him being armed, Carter is bitten right in the face by a zombie as he rounds a tree,
up close
and of course makes a horrific noise and just screaming at the top of his lungs.
As well he
should.
And
he's whining and he's crying and he's bawling, and it's just like, finally Rick gets on the scene because it's like, okay, you're 30, 40 feet off of the road where all the zombies are, and now you're making all this noise. Well, now the zombies are like, hey, what's this over here? And despite the flares and the motorcycle that's right up ahead of them, this crowd in the middle that's a click back or so has to now that their attention is diverted because Carter can't keep his bloody face closed, and he's dying very loudly. And so it's
Rick puts his hand over Carter's mouth, tells him to be quiet. He gave him every opportunity.
Yeah, would you? I'm here. Here's your opportunity to die quietly. You're not going to take it? Okay, relax, and slice. In goes the knife at the base of the skull.
Right. And of course, who's there to witness it again?
Yep, Morgan standing right there as Rick commits another murder and
judgmental
kills yet another person.
I'm telling you, it's a biblical reference. It must be, because if you think about that very Christian look of disgust about you just killed a person,
much judgment. My God. I seriously have not seen more judgment in 10 minutes of episodes over the entire season than right then in that point in time. Morgan, it was just with that one look, like, I do not approve. But it's like, what do you do? But
I was thinking you got to shut him up. You have to shut him up.
You have to.
It
Absolutely.
is the life and safety of all these people and your two kids. That you this is your plan. You have to make it work. So yeah, you got to shut him up. He's going to die anyway. I hate
many outweigh the needs of the few.
I hate the idea of that, but it's a command decision. This is what has to be done, and make him stop talking now. And of course, who knew that somebody's going to be blowing a loud ass horn right after you kill the person?
Yeah. So just when they start getting everything back on the road, all the zombies are back on the road and everything's back on track. We hear this like air raid siren.
Oh yeah, loud
out of nowhere. It's like, what the F is that? You know? And
they
it's
just
like,
stand there.
and it's like as an entire unit, the entire zombie horde turns their head.
Oh, it's the food court has opened.
Yeah. and so the entire this 10,000 zombie horde turns their head and makes a 90-degree turn. And it's like, where's that coming from? Where's that coming from? There's nothing here.
And of course they have to make mention that it's very far away. The sound is very far away because us as an audience can't really tell.
Yeah, we can't tell.
So this is a major sound device, like you were saying, an air raid horn. Yeah, and so it's very far away, and it's in the direction of Alexandria.
So, oh snap, we're dead. We're doomed. This entire horde is now basically everything that they were trying to avoid happening. It looks like it's about ready to go down.
It's
this 10,000 zombie zord is heading straight. Yep, heading straight for Alexandria, or so we think.
Right.
We don't know for sure. Something in the back of my head is telling me that somebody, and I'm thinking that I don't know who it was, but I'm thinking somebody went back to the quarry. Because there's quarries have a detonation alarm. Any active quarry is going to have a detonation alarm because they do blasting. And before you blast, you sound this alarm. And that alarm is loud enough to hear for miles because typically you are using a lot of dynamite. There's explosions that have lasting effects for several hundred yards out from the blast zone. So you need a very, very loud siren to warn everybody. Something in the back of my head is telling me Alexandria is going to be safe. This is actually somebody's plan to get the zombies back to the quarry.
Well, they may be misleading us as they do in the show.
They've never done that
for dramatic effect. I understand, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But in the previews for next week's episode, JSS, they do show zombies attacking Alexandria. So the implication is that they're going back. The zombies have been brought to Alexandria, and I mean I think there's even a scene where and we didn't mention this. I forget the young lady's name that was the Rick developed a crush because she cut his hair.
Oh yeah.
But before he killed her husband, Jesse. I'm sorry, it's Jesse. So there was a scene where Rick goes to Jesse, and you can see that Jesse is very much not interested in talking with Rick. She's almost seems a bit afraid of Rick, which would be a reasonable thing because all the stuff that she had been through with her husband.
What we've seen Rick do.
Right. That everything that's happened between her and her husband with the spousal abuse, and then seeing Rick do what he did, it makes sense. But so she was only in it for a brief moment, but in the previews for next week, I believe it was her that they showed her huddling down with her gun and waiting for the zombie to come up to the door, hoping the zombie wouldn't come to the door. So the implication is the zombies are attacking Alexandria. I like your idea. Now, I don't know. I was thinking it's either Jesse's son, who's kind of pissed off about his dad being shot in the face.
Yeah, he's kind of turning into a little bit of a rebel. Could potentially be a troublemaker, maybe. I don't know.
Or it is Father Gabriel, because Father Gabriel has turned over a new leaf and wants to be helpful. And I'm thinking he's pissed off because Rick tells him to, bitch, shut up.
Sit down and shut up. Yeah.
So that's the only thing I can come up with other than the W guys. Now, if it's the W guys doing it, that kind of would dovetail in.
They set up an air horn on a mobile unit of some kind or another, drove an old Cadillac up to the edge of the wall.
Well, I'm thinking
off a horn grenade.
I'm thinking Blues Brothers, where they put the big megaphone on top of the Dodge.
Yeah.
They can just drive around causing trouble. So none of it makes sense because none of this was planned. I mean, there was a plan, but the whole herding of the zombies happened at a unscheduled time.
Mm-hmm.
So this horn thing would have had to been thought of and in place or able to be put into place fairly quickly. Or like you say, maybe what they're doing is although the quarry being on the other side of Alexandria doesn't make a lot of sense based on the roads they were coming down.
I would have to go back to
they actually showed a map. That's right.
Yeah, they show a map but we kind of see this sort of a weird sort of oval triangle, a little bit in Alexandria is kind of in the middle. You kind of see two highways bisected by another, but it's just a brief moment, and we don't necessarily get to see exactly where what is. We know that Alexandria is kind of in the middle of these three roads, but where the quarry is in relation to that, I don't know exactly. So, but it's I'll have to go back and check that out and see if we can't determine exactly get an idea of where the quarry might be, and whether or not well, no, there's that one scene where they're at the bend. Alexandria is behind them. They're kind of looking at the bumper. There's the RV and stuff. Alexandria is behind them, and the zombies are heading due east, or I'm sorry, heading due west from there. They're heading to the left side of the screen. Alexandria's behind you. I don't know. I think the quarry then would be due north. I don't know. In any case, very interesting. I cannot wait to see how this season develops and what happens next. Of course, you guys can always check out TonyandJosh.com, where you guys can check out our recaps rather, which we will be uploading each and every week for you guys. So spoiler alerts, if you haven't seen the show, we're going to be spoiling it for you each and every week.
Yeah, and if you don't know what Walking Dead bonus segment means, and you complain because you needed a spoiler alert, shame on you. Right. We tell you what episode we're going to talk about, so just deal with it. Watch the show on Sunday, and you won't have a problem, right?
Exactly.
All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. A lot of fun talking about The Walking Dead. It's a lot more fun talking about The Walking Dead than it is waiting for it to come back on, damn it. And we didn't mention Fear the Walking Dead, and that is because, and I'm almost certain this is true, neither Josh or I took the time to watch it. It seemed to me to be just an attempt to bring in more bucks for you poor bastards that can't go without The Walking Dead for 5 minutes. So we're going to put something on to take more money out of your pocket, indirectly through advertisers, of course.
Yeah, that was interesting with the Fear the Walking Dead Flight 465 or whatever. It's almost like they were trying to put in some mini episodes.
Zombies on a plane.
So. All I know is I'm getting my full of zombies. So hey, Tony, we have an email address set up where people could send us information. If you guys have a message you'd like to get to us, something that you think we missed, or maybe something we got wrong, or maybe you want to share your point of view, you guys can send us an email to info@TonyandJosh.com.
And if you're a writer, director, owner, or actor on The Walking Dead, no need to email us. We'll just have you on the damn show.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you guys. Hey, yeah, if you are connected or you know somebody who is connected with The Walking Dead as far as staff or crew goes, by all means, make sure you drop us a line or get them in touch with us. Even better, get us in touch with them.
Get them to listen to the show. I would love to have a drop about especially if it was Daryl telling us how stupid we were and how we don't get the point of the show. I'd play that one every episode.
Yeah.
So you guys have a great week, and don't forget to catch the regular show, the Tony and Josh Show, every week. It is released on Monday each week, along with our other show, the Jeep Talk Show. So we'll talk to you guys next week. And I already did mention a little bit of it, but we'll be talking about the episode 602, season 6, episode 2, JSS, and we'll get to see if that is the Alexandria zombies. That is the zombies going at Alexandria, or if they're just misleading us again.